Okay, here we come with part 3 of I'm Back. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Manya and this is Living Simply with Manya. And today we're going to talk about part 3 of I'm Back. So if you're new here, I've been off YouTube for about a year and a half. And you should go back and watch part 1 and 2 if you're interested in where I've been and what happened to me. But today we're going to talk about the future, sort of what's to come. But before that, I need to fill in a few gaps with you, especially with you guys who have been here for a while, because I have never ever talked about my job on this channel. And that was very deliberate because this channel wasn't about my job, it was about WW and about weight loss, and I have a pretty public job, and so I just kept the two things separate. But in order to talk about part 3 and where I'm going and why I've made the decisions that I have, I kind of have to talk about my career. So here goes. Currently, for the next 3 weeks or so, I am the library director for the city of Fort Worth, Texas. So I work for government, municipal government. I've been in public libraries my entire career. I started off in 1998, and I have worked in 5 states, 5 different libraries, and every time I've moved, it's been to move up in public libraries, and until I found myself here in Fort Worth as the library director about 5.5 years ago. Now, maybe you use libraries, maybe you don't, but the best way to think about the job that I currently have is that I'm kind of the CEO of a $26 million company, and I have about 250 employees in 18 locations. So I'm not just reading books or reading books to kids or sitting at a desk. I am a high-level executive in the 13th largest city in the country. So I got a big girl job. And my entire career, well, maybe not since 1998, but since I left, I was in Portland, Oregon, and I left to go to Omaha, Nebraska for my very first professional librarian job. Professional meaning I got my master's in library science and I moved to Omaha, Nebraska for an opportunity. And ever since then, I made a decision to say yes to everything if I could. Obviously, you can't literally say yes to everything, but I tried every opportunity. Every time someone reached out to me and say, do you want to come here and work for me? Or do you want to be on this committee? Or do you want to speak at this conference? I say yes. And that has served me very, very well. And frankly, if you're not saying yes to opportunities, no matter how small they are, they could be something like, do you want to go to lunch? Or do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to get up and exercise today? Do you want to start WW? All of these things, we are presented with opportunities every single day, all day long. And if you're not saying yes, well, maybe we should talk about that in a future video. I came here to be the library director. I am still the library director for the next 3 weeks. The reason I'm sharing all of that with you is because my life, as you know, or if you're new here, my life imploded about a year and a half ago in June of 2021. My marriage ended very abruptly, overnight. I went to work, married, I came home, and he ended it. And we've been together for 20 years. So that's when I moved into this apartment. And again, I'll apologize for the background because I am packing. What you can't see here is a huge pile of boxes. So my life imploded, and then from June of 21 until, well, frankly, until today, but really until January of 2022. So for about 6 months, I rebuilt my life. And it was not easy, I'm gonna be honest. And I did a lot of it with y'all if you've been watching this channel for a while, but there were many many days that I just collapsed on this floor right here crying. I live right by a river with a trail, and I spent hours and hours just walking and walking and walking. And it was a tough time. And then when I felt ready, I put myself out on dating sites. And part 2, I talk a little bit more about that. But what I want to talk about is what happened in January of 22. So if you watched part 2, you know that in January of 22, I met a man who ended up being the love of my life. And actually last weekend we got married. And of course I'll talk more about that in just a second. But not only did he and I meet in January of 22, I was offered a new opportunity at the city to be an interim assistant city manager. To be offered an interim assistant city manager position was a promotional opportunity. I love cities. I think with all of their problems, and there are many problems, cities make people's lives better. So 2 big things happened to me at the same time. I met Danny, we started dating, and I started this new interim position. Fast forward 7 months later, I applied for the permanent position to be a permanent assistant city manager, which would have meant I would leave the library, and I didn't get it. And these things happen. I'm not going to sit here and say I felt good about it. I felt really rejected. But what it meant to me was that probably my time here was done. Because as I went back to the library, I knew that it's not that I'm not happy at the library. I love it, but I have a little bit of a been there, done that feeling about it. So I went back to the library maybe September of 2022, something like that. And in October of 2022, so just a few months ago, I was at work and I got a text from Danny. And he said, "Do you want to move to Japan?" And the way he tells the story, I wrote back, yes, immediately. And I did. And it was only later that I started thinking about all of the scary things that came with that yes. But in the moment, I was like, yes, I have nothing keeping me here, nothing. So the story is this. I'll tell his story, and then when he comes on camera, he can share the story from his perspective. But from what I understand, he was going to lunch with some guys that he works with, and I think I've mentioned he works for a defense contractor here in Fort Worth, and I'm just not going to mention the name until he tells me that I can. But it's pretty well-known defense contractor, and he went to lunch with some guy who oversees the program that the defense contractor runs in Japan. And the guy got in the car and he said, "Oh, I can't believe I have to find someone for Japan." And Danny says he pulled out his phone and he put it way down here so no one could see it. And that's when he texted me, "Do you want to move to Japan?" Because it turns out that when he was in the Air Force, he flew through Japan a few times and always wanted to go back and live there and visit. And so he applied. And then we waited for months and months. So he applied in mid-October, and the position didn't even close until right after New Year's. So for the rest of October, all of November, all of December, all we did was watch tons of YouTube videos about Japan and the city we would be moving to, and how do you do this and how do you do that, and what are they, blah, all this stuff, all the craziness. And looking back, it was only 3 months or 2.5 months. We went nuts. I mean, I was so excited, but I couldn't tell anyone. And I was like, am I crazy? I am thinking about leaving my career when I'm at the top of my game. And I'm fully independent. I support myself. I'm doing incredibly well. I can find another job. I've never, ever, ever been dependent on anyone else except for my parents. And I left when I was 18. I have worked since I was 16 years old. Like, I've never not worked. I think anyone who knows me knows that I will go nuts not working. So I have already set up some work to do while I'm there. And I want to do this channel. But it was really hard for me to think about being dependent on a man. And I was very open with Danny about this. I don't know, and I'll tell you, if any of you do not work or stay-at-home moms or you keep the home, I really want your tips specifically around like how you manage money and responsibilities. Like, I don't want to have to go to him every time I need money. It's weird to think about going to someone else for money. And so do I need an allowance? Do we need a shared checking account? He has never once said, oh, you're going to get this amount and then you can't spend over that. He has been incredibly generous. Whatever you want, just I'll give you whatever you want. But I'm so worried about running into that moment where I want to buy something and I ask and he goes, oh, that's kind of expensive. And then I feel weird about it. So anyway, comment below if you have any tips for me. And so when all of this came up, I said to Danny, I have never made a romantic decision in my entire life. Everything has always been very practical and thought out. And so with you, I want it to be romantic. So whenever you're ready, because I'll be honest, he's been saying he wants to marry me since like the day he met me. And I said, but I want you to get a ring. I want you down on one knee. Like, I want the romance. So for Japan, I want to be domestic partners because his employer offers that. And then we'll do that, get me health insurance, we'll go as domestic partners, and then whenever you're ready, you'll ask me to marry you and we'll get married. Well, we found out about 17 days ago that the Japanese government will not allow me to go unless we're legally married. I mean, let me clarify, I could get a visa and go like a regular human, but if I wanted to go under the status that Danny's going under, as a part of his whole thing and have his work pay for me, we needed to be married. So I planned a wedding in 8 days, and I'm sure I'm putting up some pictures right now of the wedding. We had it at one of my libraries because it was available on a Sunday and closed. And my dear, dear friend helped, well, I don't want to say she even helped me plan it. She planned it, I helped her. She was pretty amazing. So that's how we land here, with me being married for, today's Thursday, I got married on Sunday. So we're still not living together because we had never planned to live together at this moment. I'm probably going to move in with him in about 3 weeks, but I still have this apartment to pack. He is still doing stuff. So it didn't really change anything other than we're now legally married. It's been quite a month. I see I'm about to lose battery. Hold on, I'm going to change the battery. I'll be right back. Here is where Danny and I are going. Obviously, you know we're moving to Japan, but we are moving to a city called Nagoya. Now, I had never heard of this city before this whole experience. Obviously, we've all heard of Okinawa and Osaka and Tokyo and Sapporo, all of the touristy, amazing areas of Japan. Nagoya is about 2 hours south or 3 hours south of Tokyo, depending on how you get there. And it's big. It's a city of 10 million people, so it's bigger than New York City. But it is not, as far as I can tell, a tourist city. There's some touristy places you can go, but it's not one of the cities that people, when they go to Japan, visit. It is more of a manufacturing town. So there's aerospace there, Tesla is there, Toyota, Boeing. The first time that either one of us will visit Nagoya is the day we move there, because it is a 13-hour flight from DFW Airport, which is where we will fly out of. So this is a big adventure. The rotation that he has accepted is 2 years, but it's not a strict 2 years. It could go a little longer if we really like it there. It could go for another year. It could go for longer. Desire at this point is to live close to the city center, try to minimize Danny's commute as much as possible so that we can spend less time working and more time exploring. So my plan at this point is to take June off from working if I can, aside from you guys, because my YouTube plan is to film the whole experience. But the minute we step onto that plane and they put us up in business class because of the length of the flight. So we'll have those little pods with the lay flat bed, which I've never ever experienced. And I'm so excited. I've never been on a flight this long, 13 hours. It's a long time. So the plane, the arrival, the hotel, and then I'm gonna explore this massive city. I'm gonna get myself a rail pass, a train pass, and maybe pick a different direction every day and go find us somewhere to eat dinner so that when he comes home from work, we get on the train and we go have dinner at a new place, or just those kind of things. Obviously, I have a lot of fears. I think it's normal and natural to have fears. I've already mentioned this, but I've never been dependent on another person. I've always received a paycheck, so to not receive a paycheck is going to be very, very weird. I don't speak any Japanese, none. And I have not had the capacity to start learning yet. With still working full time and packing and planning a wedding and having to visit family multiple times, I just have not had a chance. And I know there's those apps. I haven't had the brain space to do it yet. So we're going there very raw. Neither one of us speaks Japanese. Japan has never been on my bucket list. There's a lot of people who love Japan, who love anime and manga, love the culture. I'm sure I will love the culture. It's just not ever been a country that I thought, oh, I have to go to Japan someday. So the goal is to not work in June except for YouTube, and then start to do some of the consulting work that I've lined up in the summer. But I don't want to work full time. I would like to work, 15, 20 hours a week, and just to keep myself busy, stay connected to my career, because in 2 years, 2 or so years, we'll be coming back. And I am too young to retire, so I have to figure out what I'm going to do to make money once we get back. So all of that is to say, and I will say this and then I will wrap it up. From day one, when Danny sent me that text and said, do you want to go to Japan? And I said, yes. I feel like this is a gift that he is giving me that not very many people get. I mean, yes, it's an opportunity to live somewhere else in the world, halfway around the world, for a brand new adventure, to take a risk, all of those things that seem really obvious. But the other gift that is so meaningful to me, and the reason that I started this video talking about that interim job that I had and how I didn't get the permanent position, the thought of just going to another city and starting over honestly makes me feel a little tired. That's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. I am a problem solver. I like getting into situations that have problems or are a little broken and rebuilding them, and then I move on to the next thing. But I just am not feeling excited about moving on to the next thing. And I think what I need is a break. I would love a break to reflect, to think about what it is that I want to do with the second half of my life. Do I want to go back into municipal government somewhere in the country, back here or somewhere else? Start that grind all over again? Or can I make it consulting? Can I make it doing other things like YouTube or life coaching or something that fuels my creativity and my soul? I never thought I would get that break. I thought I would just have to figure it all out as I went along. So 2 years of an opportunity to think and to reflect. What a gift. I am so grateful for this opportunity. I cannot thank this man enough for putting this in front of me and being supportive of me and understanding what it is that I need. And if I get sucked into work and I start working 60 hours a week while we're there, it's not going to be because of him. He has made it very clear that if I need a break, he supports me taking it. This whole life right now, this whole life since January of 22 has just been a gift. And there are ups and downs, but at the end of the day, I recognize that not very many people get this opportunity that I'm being given right now. So before I completely lose it, let me log off here. Thank you if you've made it all the way to the end. Thank you, all of you, for giving me a reason to come back to YouTube, to reconnect with all of you. I'm excited. I'm excited to take you on this journey. And in a future video, not long from now, I will talk about what this channel is going to become and what I want to focus on. Give me a shout out down below. I want to know that you're here, a thumbs up, and please subscribe. We have a whole adventure waiting for us, and I hope you can come along with me. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.